Steven Spielberg is back talking about aliens with his latest film, Disclosure Day. Let's talk about it spoiler free. This review is coming a little bit after the embargo because I really wanted to sit and chew on Disclosure Day. I walked out with a lot of feelings, a lot of thoughts, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I just wanted to kind of marinate it on it more before I dove into a longer form video, because I think there's a lot of movie happening. There's a lot happening in the movie. There's a lot of subtext going on. It's exploring a lot of ideas, and it's a lot to sift through. Disclosure Day is basically about this group of people who have information about the existence of aliens walking among us, and it's their subsequent mission to disseminate that information out into the world. This is also kind of timed to a local weatherwoman played by Emily Blunt experiencing a strange episode live on the air, and those paths kind of collide. I think first and foremost, Steven Spielberg is doing excellent work behind the camera. This movie is so well directed. The camera never stops moving, and he injects so much urgency from the jump. We are thrown right into the thick of things, and it never lets up. And I think it makes those quieter moments where we do kind of screech to a halt all the more impactful, and really allows us to sit in what the moment requires of us. Janusz Kaminski's cinematography is gorgeous. We're playing with a lot of these lens flares and backlighting, but it doesn't feel hokey in a sci-fi way. It is genuinely beautiful and breathtaking. I also love what we're doing with mirrors and reflective surfaces. I thought that was actually really fascinating and breathtaking. I also just appreciated that the consistent movement didn't feel like a gimmick. It served a purpose. It just kept the thing moving right along. We never really get a chance to come up for air, and it never lets you go. There's not a ton of action set pieces, but those bigger set pieces are really well done, really expertly staged. It feels silly to say because it's Steven Spielberg dub, but it's really cool that a director of his stature and at this point in his career is still pushing himself and still able to deliver. I think where this movie was lacking a lot for me is the screenplay written by David Koepp. I mentioned earlier, we're thrown right into the thick of things, and there is this feeling of trying to play catch up and adjust. I also think, while intentional, this movie deals a lot in ambiguity, and it's attempting to unfurl information at an intentional pace, but it does kind of undercut a bit of the pacing and plot, and it undercuts some of these characters. Josh O'Connor's character is kind of a nothing burger everyman. There's not a lot underneath there for me to latch on to. I also think thematically it's very heavy-handed. There's a lot of interesting ideas, right? We are playing with this idea of who gets to decide and gatekeep the truth, who gets to dictate what is meant to be out to the public. On the flip side, Spielberg is also kind of diving into what are the ramifications of the truth? Are we prepared as a society to receive the truth? And what will our lives look like after that truth is given to us? The existence of extraterrestrials is a mind-altering thing. It does fundamentally reshape the way we know and interact with the world. There's a lot of these ideas about faith and how faith will reshape and be questioned and come into maybe conflict, but can faith and this knowledge of extraterrestrial life coexist? I think those are all ideas that are being thrown in there, and they are kind of being heavily monologued about, but I don't think they get explored in a super deep way. I would have liked more specifically about the conflict of religion. One of the characters played by Eve Hewson, her name is Jane. She used to live at a convent. She was a novitiate, and she really has this question of faith, and I think that's a big thing her character deals with, but I don't think it's explored as fully as it could have. There are definitely a lot more questions than answered. Some of it is effective. There are some technologies in this movie that doesn't hold your hand and baby you when explaining it. It just trusts the audience to catch on to what's happening, and I think that's effective. But then there are other moments where it just kind of doesn't answer anything, and it just happens, and you're expected to go along with it, but it kind of takes you out. Trying to keep it spoiler free. I will say though, the cast is great. I just complained about Josh Josh O'Connor's character, but he's doing a good job leading this thing. I think despite the fact that this character feels a little hollow, he is a captivating presence on screen. I do love watching him. Colin Firth, menacing as ever. I really like seeing him in this kind of role. Eve Hewson has like a nice stretch of time where she really gets to shine. I've never seen her like really get to flex her muscles in this way, so that was cool. Wyatt Russell's a fun presence. Colman Domingo is just effortless, man. I love his voice, his energy, his charisma. He's really fun in this. Emily Blunt is kind of like the centerpiece of a lot of the marketing, and for good reason. She is terrific in this. Sometimes it gets a little big, but I think she's doing a very interesting dance. This character is undergoing a very unique crisis that like puts her in this very interesting position, and I love the way she's navigating it. And I think this is a role that really allows Emily Blunt to show off everything in one go. I love Emily Blunt. She's always good, but this is really, really a tour de force performance for her. I also want to shout out Courtney Grace. Courtney Grace has a smaller role in this movie. I think she has maybe 10 minutes tops of screen time, but what she does with that screen time is so breathtaking. I was glued to my seat, locked in on the credits, trying to find her name because she is doing such profound work. What she achieves in just a small amount of screen time is so impactful. I think she is a big part of the emotional climax and making that land. I really wanted to shout her out because it was such a cool moment where it felt like a discovery. I am not familiar with her work prior to this, but I will be locked in for whatever she does next. Disclosure Day is such an interesting ride because I was a little like underwhelmed throughout it. I was entertained, I was having a good time, but I was kind of waiting for it to take it up a notch and take it to the next level. And I was just kind of vibing. And then the last like 20 minutes happened and I was wiping away tears. I was very emotional. I'm so thoroughly impressed with how he lands the plane on this. This isn't a spoiler. I do think it is important to kind of curb your expectations and be prepared. This isn't so much an alien movie as it is like a conspiracy thriller. It's really focusing on like what we do with the information about other life out there. How are we prepared to receive these people? I also think there's a really cool thread of this idea of communication. I know that one trailer kind of showed everything, but I'm going to keep this very vague and spoiler free, but a big thread of this movie is about understanding and how powerful like empathy and compassion can be. Sometimes it gets a little schmaltzy in the Spielbergian way, but it's so earnest. When we take a moment to just look someone in the eyes and really understand where they are at and where they are coming from, it can be destabilizing, right? Because we are living in times where that is not commonplace, but it is so beautiful ultimately and helpful and impactful and can really do wonders in helping us move each other forward. I'm really eager to see this again. I think seeing it again will only like increase my appreciation and value of this movie. I'm sitting at a 4 right now though. I had a great time with it. It's not perfect, but I again think it's so cool that Steven Spielberg is still like really operating at the height of his abilities and his prowess. He's assembled a great team. I think everybody's tippy top of their game. This John Williams score is terrific. It's one of his best in years. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's not what you expect. I think a lot of people are gonna be a little like kerfuffled at what the movie actually is, and not in a bad way. I don't think it's a bad thing. It is just unexpected. It's not the route I thought it would go, but a delightful surprise. Thank you so much for checking out this review. Make sure you do all the things you're supposed to do with the YouTube channel. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, follow me everywhere, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!